Devansh Jain, who's the whole-time director at Inox Wind, joining in to discuss this restructuring. Devansh, hi, welcome to the show. Well, we'll get to the valuations and the merger ratio in just a bit, but give us a sense in terms of, one, what exactly does Inox Wind-Energy contain? Is it just a holding company which is now going to be merged into Inox Wind? And secondly, what is the rationale behind this particular step?
Hi, good afternoon. Pleasure to be back. So Inox Wind-Energy is primarily a holding company for Inox Wind. It has a couple of other assets, not too significant, but some minor operating assets of a few turbines. But effectively, this was created when we demerged the renewable energy business from the erstwhile parent company, which was Gujarat's Fluoro, as a result of which Inox Wind-Energy Limited became a listed company, which was primarily, as I mentioned, the holding company for Inox Wind. Even at that point in time, we had committed that eventually we will be simplifying the structure and we intend to have only one listed primarily company in the renewable energy space, which was Inox Wind. And I think happy to say that finally, after a period of about 12 to 15 months, we've reached that point where the boards of both the companies have announced, have given approval for merger of these two entities. And you'll now have Inox Wind-Energy Limited, which was the holding company, merging into Inox Wind, so that we just have a pure vanilla operating company.
Devansh, while we take your point on simplification, and perhaps that is the way forward for shareholders to understand your business and trade in your stocks as well, but importantly, just wanted to understand the rationale for the pricing of this merger ratio, because as things stand at right now, Inox Wind as a stock seems to have taken it badly, whereas Inox Wind-Energy is the one which has the upper hand in the valuation as far as the merger ratio is concerned, and that's something that we can witness. Inox Wind-Energy is up around 13%. Inox Wind, on the other hand, is down about 7% as well. What was the rationale behind this pricing, and why this divergence?
Okay, look, so frankly speaking, I think we got the boards of both the companies took fairness opinions and independent valuations from not just one, but two independent agencies. And to be brutally honest, I think the deal is as fair as it could get. We've been absolutely in favor of the minority shareholders. It was our endeavor to ensure that we reward all our shareholders who've been with us throughout this journey. And I think given the fact that the wind energy companies now are on a massive ramp-up mode, the sector's looking up, we thought it's absolutely fair to ensure that all our minority shareholders' interests are protected. I would tend to say that, in fact, the promoters have taken a slight hit on this front, but I think in the larger scheme of things, it was more important that all our minority shareholders are rewarded.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions. Devansh, hi, this is Sonia here. So will you be taking any steps to simplify the shareholding in Inox Green as well?
Hi, Sonia. So I think we now have two renewable energy companies which will remain listed,
yes,
which is Inox Wind, which is the pure vanilla operating company for the manufacturing business. And under that, obviously, we recently listed Inox Green, which is the plain vanilla O&M annuity business, the operations and maintenance annuity business. So I don't think there is scope to simplify that further, but we now have two operating companies, one being Inox Wind, which is, as I mentioned, a capital goods wind turbine play, and Inox Green, which is a very, very stable annuity business model.
Okay. So now once these two, no, I ask because once these two, so you'll have two companies, right? There'll be Inox Wind and there'll be Inox Green. Now, can you tell us, once the simplification is done completely, what is the growth strategy for both these businesses? Because by and large, they are within the same umbrella bracket, right, of renewable energy. So just trying to understand what kind of growth in terms of order book, etc., you see for these two eventual listed entities that you'll have.
Sure. Let me first take on wind and then come to green. So I think I was recently on CNBC as well. I think the macros for the wind sector have finally turned around very, very strongly. And I did mention we are seeing very, very strong tailwinds. I think it's been a long period of time, almost 4 to 5 years since the wind sector had been down. All the government policy issues are behind us. the transition to the auction regime or a closed auction regime is now behind us. We're seeing massive traction across public sector enterprise tenders, across IPPs, and the C&I market is booming. In fact, over the past 7 to 8 months, I think we've announced incremental orders of almost 600 megawatts at Inox Wind. In the past 30 days alone, we've announced 2 very large orders from NTPC for 150 megawatts and another 100 megawatts from AB Energy and IPP just last week. I think as I mentioned, I think very, very strong tailwinds. The government is talking of almost 10 gigawatts per annum. And mind you, the highest we've ever done in India was close to about 4.5 gigawatts. Now, whether we get to that number or get to 60, 70% of that target, we're looking at, I think, phenomenal growth. And I think for the players who have now survived the pain period of the past 4 to 5 years, I think it's going to be very, very strong growth going forward.
Okay,
so
Devansh, Devansh, I just wanted to get some clarifications with regards to the Central Electricity Authority, where there's reports have indicated that y'all could be facing a blacklist simply because of some complaints and compliance issues. Can you just clarify on that?
We've submitted all our reports. We're in full compliance. We have acknowledgement from CEA that no such thing was happening. I'm not sure why certain elements of the media blew it out of proportion with absolutely no basis. It was a frankly very routine matter. We are in full compliance now, and our team was with CEA last week. They've acknowledged.
So you haven't been blacklisted?
Oh, there was no question of getting blacklisted. I think it was just a figment of imagination of certain elements of the media, if I may say so.
Just a couple of questions on Inox Green before we move on this one. The promoters currently own, 56% in Inox Green right now? Was there a plan for them to increase it by about 5%? Did you announce that at the end of the fourth quarter? Just wanted to understand that.
So we own 56%. Inox Wind, in turn, had given a ICD of about 200 crores to Inox Green. That is being converted into equity. And as a result of which, Inox Wind's holding in Inox Green will go up from 56% to about 61%. That's how the shareholding is going to move.
Now for that, because promoters then get 5% of the equity at 200 crore rupees, which values the company at around 1,000 crores, while Inox Green is currently trading at 1,600. So on the one hand, you say that promoters have taken a hit on the merger ratio between Inox Wind-Energy and Inox Wind. On the other, they've got a better deal when they converted that debt to equity in Inox Green. I just wanted to understand that.
Look, first let me correct your understanding. First and foremost, it's not as simple as 5% for 200 CR. You need to look at the larger capital. So when you don't just divide 200 upon 1,000 or 200 upon 1,000 to get to 5% dilution. But when you put 200 upon the base plus add another 200, which was the preference capital, it would actually not be that kind of dilution. Having said that, Inox Wind always had the option of taking back that 200 crores from Inox Green. And I don't think that would have been in the interest of Inox Green and the massive growth that we see ahead of ourselves at Inox Green in terms of inorganic opportunities, given we have a lot of distressed assets available, given all the pain in the sector. So I think you need to look at it in the larger context. When you talk of promoters, you also need to keep in mind the promoters invested at a value of 130 crores and 120 crores odd into Inox Green, and we did the IPO at 65 rupees. So I think we need to look at the larger picture as well.
I take that point. But one more thing, you had an SPV as well called Nani Virani, which could get you about 300 crores if you sold it. What's the plan there? By when are you looking to sell it? Because you'll turn debt-free if you do that.
Look, I think that's something which is actively being negotiated across multiple players. We had mentioned that it was only after May that we could look at flipping that asset. We've already flipped 4 such assets across Adani and Torrent. And I think in the near future, we should be flipping this asset as well. And yes, certainly that would take away 300 crores of debt and make Inox Green a net debt-free entity. We're fully committed to it.
When you say near future, is it in this calendar year itself?
Oh, certainly. I think much before the later part of this calendar year. I think you should be hearing news on that in the very near future.
Okay, just one final question I had. You know, there is, since you said that the wind energy sector is turning around after many years, the government in their 50 gigawatt annual renewable energy bids, which are going to be up in the next 4 years, includes at least 10 gigawatts of wind energy. What is the likely orders that you can perhaps win from that, or that you could be bidding for?
Look, Sonal, so I think we've historically been at about 15 to 20% of the market. I think as the market moves, we already have a manufacturing capacity of 1600 odd megawatt. We would take our right share in the market. I mean, it's no secret that we probably have one of the strongest balance sheets now. We are one of the select survivors in the market. What we are doing, though, is we are pacing ourselves. So we are picking up orders on a quarterly basis. We are playing out the PSU market, being very, very selective in terms of IPP orders we are taking. We are focused more on margins and on efficiency in terms of ease of supplying turbines to certain customers. We've all had a very, very painful time over the past 4 or 5 years. So I think we've always focused on profitability at Inox Wind. And I think while we will take a fair share of the market, we would be pacing this out in an orderly manner so as to de-risk our supply chain, de-risk costs, as well as keep increasing our margins. But I think, yes, historically we've been at about 15 to 20, and I think we should be there.
Okay, all right, Devansh, we're going to leave it on that note. A lot more questions, but we've completely run out of time. Maybe we'll connect at another time to dig deeper in terms of the restructuring. Thanks very much for joining in and speaking.